Welcome to the Kickstart Your Edge Play to Win Leadership Podcast,
where we've flipped the script with our groundbreaking modus operandi to bring you real, relevant, and relatable tactics and techniques to master your own play to win mindset.
Talk about a superpower. It's time to iron your cape.
What we know for sure is what got you here won't get you there.
You can't see the spinach in your own teeth.
And finally, hang on, because this one is really deep. Once you realize that you are the traffic, everything makes complete and unadulterated sense.
Welcome to The Edge, where playing not to lose is not an option.
So, for those of you that have been following us for a while, you know our obsession with golf lately. And the most recent obsession has been around the Open and how Scotty Scheffler showed up before, during, and after the Open. And just some of the thoughts that we had around it and how he just, I don't know, I just feel like he's a guy right now who, he's 29 years old and he gets it. He knows what's truly important.
So he ended up winning. Spoiler alert. Just kidding.
It's a week later, yes.
It's a little bit after, by 4 strokes, which was great. The interesting thing, Kara, is about that interview that we heard. So right before the Open, he did a press conference. And like you said, he's 29 years old, very articulate, very grounded, an amazing player. But it was interesting what he shared. So I jotted a few notes and I just to get everybody up to speed. So in this press conference, he said that he was not in the press conference to inspire someone to be the best player in the world, because what's the point, right? And so what he means by that is it's not extremely fulfilling to be the best player in the world. Yes, he has a great sense of accomplishment with all his accomplishments that he has. He does have pride around it. But he said, in terms of fulfillment, it doesn't satisfy the deepest places of his heart, right? And I love that. So, and he brought it up in many different ways. At the end of it, he really loves the work that he puts in. He finds a lot of joy in working hard and honing his skills and his talents and his craft that allow him to be the best, allow him to win. And that's really the most fun he has, is in doing that hard work, because winning is so fleeting. It lasts for just a short period of time, and then it's what's next. Here's your next competition. How are you going to fare? Where are you in the rankings? And he said that basically, if he could be the best dad in the world, that's the most fulfilling versus the best golfer. So go ahead, Kara.
And I was just going to say, I think that's the key, right, Jen? And so many of the quotes that he had, during that press conference was, it's great to be able to win tournaments and to accomplish the things I have in the game of golf. And it brings tears to his eyes to think about it, because he's worked his entire life to be good at it. And to be able to live your dreams, how special that is. And then he kind of talked a little bit about, right, that he's not out there to inspire the next generation of golfers, that he's not out there to inspire somebody to be the best player in the world, because it's not a fulfilling life. And that's where I think that this is really important. It's fulfilling from the sense of accomplishment, but it's not fulfilling from the sense of the deepest places in your heart. And I got to tell you, I think he shocked the heck out of people. And one of the articles that I read basically said that people were just watching him in awe, and nobody's writing down anything, because he just was so open and so vulnerable in that article, and he completely, took people off guard.
Yeah, it gets me thinking about how much all of us pin our hopes and the dreams of a future accomplishment to give us fulfillment and satisfaction, right? So when I get there, when I do this, when we're number one, when we hit our sales goal, when we, get to this level, there's all this anticipation on it's better there than it is here. And it can be very interesting in terms of, destination versus journey. And why don't you feel fulfillment today? And why do we have to wait to feel fulfillment is another thing that comes into play.
Yeah, and I think that that's the key, right? About not putting those things on hold. And I'm going to go back to, what you said about him wanting to be a great dad. And he talks about, when he wakes up early in the morning to go to work, that his wife thanks him. And then when he gets home, he thanks her for taking care of their son. And he talks about just being blessed to be able to go out there and play golf. But I think that the one thing too is what you kind of leaned into a little bit earlier, was that if golf ever started to affect his home life, or it ever affect the relationship that he has with his wife or his son, it will be the last day that he played.
Yeah, I know, which is kind of amazing, right? So it's in a way, golf is a means to the end, right? So, and I just think it's very interesting because I have my opinions on sports, right? And in terms of they're great and they're entertainment, but we put so much focus on them in the American culture and so much rooting and arguing and fan base and statistics and time into an entertainment type of activity, right? Which is kind of interesting too, because that's what he's acknowledging is it's golf, right?
Yeah.
So, it's not saving the whales or changing global warming or whatever it is that gives people fulfillment. And it can be a small thing or a big thing. And I just found it to be super interesting to have him acknowledge that, because he's not like, unless something happens that affects his family, he's still going to be in the game. He's still going to put in the work. He's still going to show up for the tournaments. He's still going to, have the moments of winning. However, it's an interesting place, I think, for him to be in it for what it is. And I think he has a huge level of acceptance around all of it.
Yeah. It is about what's important and believing in, he is a very religious guy, but is believing in something bigger than who you are and what you're doing.
Yeah. So, as we always like to do, is to take these real life moments and how do we apply them to think about leadership, right? So, is your team unmotivated because you're not winning enough? Well, where's the fulfillment in what you're learning, what you're doing, how you're coming together, right?
Yeah.
Are you not feeling successful and grounded because your title doesn't match what it is that you do? And it's all interesting to see, where do you get fulfillment from? How can you find more fulfillment now as you maybe are going after different goals? And how does your sense of fulfillment affect other people around you as well? It's just fun. It's just totally fun to think about.
And on a last note here, it makes me think of, so many people get so wrapped up in their, in their careers. And it doesn't matter, whether you're a CEO, whether you're a police chief, whatever title you have. And, with Scotty Scheffler here, he's not he's a golfer, but it's not who he is. It's what he does.
That's great. That's great. Anyway, speaking of which, I'd like to go find some fulfillment on golfing. Working on my handicap. All right, everybody. Thanks so much.
Bye.
Thanks for listening to the Kickstart Your Edge Play to Win Leadership Podcast. Craving more? Of course you are. Check out our website at
kickstartyouredge.com,
where we fire you up, fan the flames of your competitive edge culture, and ignite your tenacious pursuit of an all-out play-to-win mindset.